Hi friends, so in today's video, I'm going to be batch making 6 different projects using just one paper collection. It's Magic and Wonder from Echo Park. I'm going to be making mini albums, book boxes with cards, a little extras, and even some embellishment boxes. And just a quick note, there's only 5 projects here because one of the mini albums already sold before I could film the intro. But let's get started. Okay, so the paper I'm going to be using today is called Magic and Wonder by Echo Park. It's a really fun Disney-inspired collection and perfect for batching the projects like this. You get a good mix of the pattern papers. Some are bold and some are smaller print, and they do really work really nice together. The colors are really pretty too. I like the bright reds and the teal blue, the yellows, the black, and the whites. It also has cut aparts and a sticker sheet, especially it's really good when you're batch making like this. It'll have a lot of little sentiments that can be fussy cut out too, which is going to really help. So even though this paper collection is really great, there's just not quite enough embellishments in it to stretch across the 6 different projects. So before I get started, I like to go ahead and make my own. And what I usually do is I go through all of my stamps and pull anything that has the same theme. For this one, I found 2 stamp sets that work really well. One is The Happiest Place from Close to My Heart, and the other one is also from Close to My Heart, and it's called Carnival Fun. And it really has some cute theme park icons. And then, of course, I do need ink if I'm going to be using stamps. And so for my ink colors, I'm going to keep it simple and pull 3 that match the paper: Capri Teal, Candy Apple Red, and a Lemon Yellow. I also pulled a few extra cut aparts and scraps from another Disney inspired collection that I want to try and use up too. So the way I like to tackle my embellishments is to set a number before I start. Since I have 6 projects, I know I need at least 6 of each icon, but I also like to make a few extra. And I usually aim around 10 of each just to give myself some variety, and then I'll switch up the colors. Since I have the 3 inks, I'll do a few in each color so everything coordinates but still has a little of interest. I also like to go ahead and die cut everything first, and then I'll do all my stamping. That way it just makes it a little easier, in my opinion, and quicker too. So here are just a few pieces that I'm working with. Just like these little balloons, I made them in a couple of different colors, so they give me good variety. And then here's a look at all the finished icons that I made. I like to separate everything out in this little container so I can clearly see what I have to work with. I'm also going to bring in a few extras. I have some enamel dots from my stash, these cute little white acrylic hearts, a couple of ribbons from my stash, and then of course I'm going to need a set of journal cards for the mini albums. I always go through my scrap bin, pull anything else that matches, and then I go through my die cuts also and make any die cuts that will help too. Now that everything is prepped and ready to go, I'm ready to start batching my projects. I like to start with my 2 4x4 mini albums. I made the bases off camera, so I'm going to start by adding the ribbon to both at the same time. Once that's in place, I move on to the black mats. I need 16 total, so I cut all of them at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I cut them off camera, and I just work back and forth until both albums are finished. Once the mats are all adhered, I go through my pattern pieces, pre-cut those at 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, mixing and matching so they coordinate evenly between both of the albums. Okay, so I go ahead and I adhere all the pattern pieces down on both albums. I just work back and forth. And then once all of that is finished, this is where I like to pause so I can move on to the next project. Now I'm going to move on to the 2 book boxes. These are going to hold 4 matching cards and envelopes, along with a really cute little post-it note holder and a pen. I went ahead and made the boxes off camera since I already have a full tutorial on my channel for those, but I will walk you through how I make the post-it note holder and the cards so you can see that part of the process. I do have a full tutorial on my channel that goes over the exact measurements for these post-it note holders, but I'll show you a quick version here. After I make the two bases, since I need one for each book box, once those are done, I'll cut a pattern piece which measures 3 by 3, and then two smaller pieces for layering, one at 2.5 by 2.5, and then another at 2.25 by 2.25. I adhere everything down, and then to finish it off, I just add the sticky notes on the inside with the little pin. So now I'm going to work on the cards for the book boxes. I'll need 4 cards for each, so 8 total. I already made the bases off camera and added one piece of pattern paper to each card, and that measures 4 by 5 1/4. For these, I'm going to keep the designs pretty simple, but I do want to take advantage of all the cut aparts that came with this collection and use those as my main decoration. I like to mat my cut aparts first so they really stand out, and then I just build them from there. All right, before I start decorating, I'm going to go ahead and gather a couple of my punches, a scallop punch and a hexagon punch, just to make putting my little embellishment clusters together a little bit easier. Now that everything is prepped and ready, my mini albums are constructed and ready for decoration, and I have all my book boxes, cards, and post-it note holders all made. I can start bringing everything together. This is the fun part where I take all of the embellishments and I start building those final layers and details on each piece. This part probably takes me the longest just because I'm picking and choosing what I think looks best and moving things around a bit. So I'm just going to work through this process for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and show you some of the finished tags that I created that are ready to use on today's projects. Okay, so here they are. I ended up making 5 main clusters to go on the projects. The rest of the embellishments will be used individually to finish up each of the projects depending on what I think they need at that time. Okay, so let's take a final look at the finished two 4 by 4 mini albums that I made. They both follow the same design and use the same pattern papers, but they're embellished completely different from each other, and they really do look so different, and they are just super cute, in my opinion, of course. These are both available in my Etsy shop. So both of the albums use the clusters that I just made, and of course I used as many of those sweet little stamp images as I could. I also really took advantage of all the cut aparts in this collection, and just by mixing and matching everything, it really helped to make each album feel completely different. All right, so now we can take a look at the finished book boxes. So each one includes the 4 handmade cards and an envelope, along with a cute little post-it note holder and a mini pen. And since I had some extra embellishments left over, I was also able to make a sweet little bookmark to tuck inside, which I think just adds a nice little extra touch. Everything fits right inside the box, and then I just tie it closed with the ribbon to finish it off. And so here's a look at the second one. And I just think it turned out so cute. I really love the polka dot paper. The red just pops and makes it feel extra special. I love the bookmark, and these cards are so cute too. I kept them simple and used the cut aparts, but they really came out nicely. Okay, and finally, for the last two projects. So I took all of the leftover embellishments that I didn't use on the other pieces. I added everything into this cute little box. I included a description tag on the inside and finished it off with some extra little ribbon and some enamel dots. To finish it off on the outside, I added a really cute black and white bow around the top and then used one of the leftover clusters as the final detail. So now I have an embellishment box that I can list in my Etsy shop, and it's perfect for anyone who wants to create their own projects with all of the little icons already made for them. And that's a look at all the projects that I made today using the Magic and Wonder collection. I really loved how everything turned out, and I especially loved how I was able to batch everything in one sitting, basically, even though the sitting was like probably 6 hours long. If you're interested in any of these things, they're available in my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you like, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.